cents short of $1, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Bo Tiz. I'm Rue. Today we got to talk about the Terrence Bud Crawford Errol Spence post fight. It went down last night, and I think it went down not how a lot of people were expecting. So now Terrence Bud Crawford is a two-time undisputed champion of the world, probably number one on everyone's pound for pound rank fighters, men pertaining. Of course, there's Clarissa Shields out there, but man, you saw it. Just tell me what was your reaction? How did you feel watching it?
Oh man, there's a lot to unpack, man. I initially both our predictions, we both had Spence winning the fight. I had him winning by decision, essentially. Clearly, of course, I'm wrong, right? I would say I am not surprised by the initial outcome in terms of the stoppage because it was just it was such a close fight. Bud came in as the favorite in the fight, and Bud and Errol Spence came in as the underdog slightly, right? It was very close in odds, but most people were selecting Bud to win the fight, right? Mostly from what I was hearing was like decision, right? So, but me analyzing the fight, of course, like I even mentioned, like Errol Spence's style, he's gonna force Bud to stop him, right? And that's ultimately what he did. So I'm not necessarily shocked by the initial like TKO. What I'm shocked about is Bud's performance throughout the fight.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that he didn't even make it close. After that first round onwards, it wasn't even a close fight. And I think a variable that I overlooked or I was unsure of, and this is very synonymous to the Inoue and Fulton fight, was Bud's punching power and his speed. And I think that was throwing Errol Spence off throughout the whole duration of the fight.
Yeah.
Errol Spence couldn't necessarily adjust to the timing and speed of Bud's punches, his jab, and the stiffness of the jab was just, I ain't gonna lie, was effing Spence up, bro. Spence was getting his head popped back. He couldn't all night. And then it got to the point where he kind of was just like start throwing looping punches. I was watching the fight with Trent, Rao, a few others, and I think the turning point of the fight was definitely the knockdown in round 2. But it wasn't initially that. It was that started to turn the wheel. But I think what happened was, and I was here, and I told him, I was like, this is bad, right? Because once he got knocked down, 10-8 round, Spence felt like he had to catch up. And it became overly aggressive coming into the third round. And he started getting hit with shots, especially with the jab again, getting countered, and it started hurting him. And once I seen that at the end of the third round, I told her, I said, yeah, it's over. Bud got him. It's over. I was like, Bud is going to stop him. I thought Bud was going to stop him early. I thought he was going to stop him early than he did. I thought he was going to stop him like in 6. But I guess he kind of, took his time. He got a little tired from what Bomac was saying. Bomac was like, yo, I know you're tired, but stick to the jab, stick to the game plan, and kind of keep working,
Yeah.
That's ultimately what happened. But what was your initial thoughts?
I was shocked. I was shocked. If I remember correctly, I think I chose Spence by decision. I know that, but I think I said split decision.
Split,
That's what I said. Of course, they're both great fighters. You know what I'm saying? And two great fighters get together, you're expecting a great fight. Now, Errol did say we might see a one-sided ass whooping, and that's what we saw. It just wasn't in his favor. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford, I guess he showed why he's a generational talent. Probably one of the definitely one of the greatest welterweights we've ever seen now, right? But I just thought it was crazy, So what you were alluding to, the first round was probably a fill out round, right? You could have gave it to Spence off activity, but the second round, what I thought shifted to me even before the knockdown, there was a clinch session, and out of the clinch, Terrence like threw Errol like across the ring, and coming into the fight, everyone thought Errol would be the bigger, stronger man. Terrence looked bigger, and he looked stronger.
Yeah,
so when they clinched and he threw him across the ring, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And Errol was just, you know what I'm saying? And then from there, he proceeded to just boom, that stiff jab, as you mentioned. And Spence was just opening up way too much. You know what I'm saying? Like you kept hearing Derek James say work behind the jab. So yes, he was throwing the jab. I wouldn't consider it working behind the jab because he just kept throwing that looping left and leaving himself wide open. So now the hand speed, I knew that was in Terrence Crawford's advantage, right? But if you remember the breakdown, I think one thing you always hear me speak about is framing. Framing being kind of when the hands are kind of like tied and you kind of like get free. And I thought the framing would be Errol Spence's tactic to neutralize the hand speed, if that makes sense. We weren't going to be trading, but I was going to get in there close, kind of like use my body to kind of hold you and then be first to the attack is what I thought was going to happen. I didn't see that once last night. So all around, like I said, I was just like really, really shocked. Just to, I guess, give you an analogy, I know you'll appreciate. I don't know how many of our viewers will appreciate it. This fight, I expected it to be like Payne versus Itachi, right? I expected with Terrence Crawford being Itachi, probably has like a deeper bag of moves, but now Payne's moves, I just think are more overwhelming, right? So I expected the Bansho Tenin, Chewbacca Tensei, and Shinra Tensei to be able to bring it home, which was probably, Errol's stiff jab, the body attack, and just his inside work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But man, that got ugly. It got ugly. And to speak to what you're saying, you thought he was gonna get stopped earlier. I think it could have happened because Terrence usually, once he knows you're hurt, he usually sells out to like he goes crazy just to get you out of there. Yeah. But I think for him, he saw it was inevitable, and he was like, I'm not going to make a mistake and allow this guy to hit me with anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He took his time.
And then, like, for me, I think that's probably the sharpest I've ever seen Crawford. I think that's the best I've seen Crawford, but also the worst I've seen Spence. And I'm questioning, was the moment too big for Spence? Do you know what I'm saying? Because just the way he looked out there, I've never seen him look like that, right? And maybe Bud is just that many levels above him, but just taking away what Bud did, just when you were just looking at Spence, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It just looked out of the ordinary. I really wonder, was the moment too big for him? You know what I'm saying? Bud seemed cool, calm, collective, which is usually what you expect from Errol Spence, right? But I just wonder, were the lights too bright?
Yeah, honestly, man, I think it came down to preparation. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I also underestimated Bud's preparation. He even went to a pre-camp, so he's been preparing for a while. Mm-hmm. Also, it also seemed like, and this is no excuse, right? This is just facts, right? Just 100% facts, right? Because I know people bring up like the car accident took away something from, we know that, right? But even prime Errol Spence prior to the car accident, if you'd have faced off against this Bud Crawford, I still think that Errol Spence lose, right? So regardless, Bud was just on another level, right? But going back to my initial point with the preparation, Bud really prepared. He worked his jab all throughout camp. He came into camp, of course, he even mentioned as well, just southpaw off rip, working the jab, making sure the jab was stiff, strong, because they already knew how Errol Spence was going to come, right? Mm-hmm. So they developed the game plan, build off that skill set, and they maintained the course, and it worked. It worked to perfection, Whereas with Spence, it just seemed like they came in like they was going to just treat Bud Crawford like Ugas or his previous opponents, same game plan.
Yeah,
it just didn't work, right? So I think the preparation definitely played a big role, and then of course, like Bud, he came in a little heavier, he came in stronger, but this is why I say like skill level alone doesn't really win you fights. Is usually the intangibles, and the intangibles last night favored Bud Crawford. His punching power was there, his speed was there, the size was there, the strength was there, and that made it an overwhelming. He made him victorious, right?
Yeah,
dominant performance. So definitely preparation there was a big factor.
So I wonder, about the preparation per se, if Errol didn't prepare correctly. The reason I say I wonder that is because I heard a bit of the corner. I heard Derek James saying, yo, turn him here. Like, you're completely off balance. What's going on? So I wonder if he wasn't prepared, or if what happened was everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. You know what I mean? Being once he got dropped, did everything go out the window? And like you said, it was just trying to get it back. So whatever game plan they had, like it wasn't even in his focus anymore. He was just trying to get it back. You kind of understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I can definitely see that. I think that's definitely part of it. And then you also got to factor in, no matter what, if you're a boxer, and anyone that's a professional boxer can attest to this as well. When you don't fight for an extended period of time and you go into a ring with a really sharp fighter, that affects, like, your reaction time is affected, is hindered, right? So the fact that the last fight he had was Ugas and he kind of had that layoff coming into a fight with Bud Crawford, I felt like that his timing was off, and that also affected how he kind of could react to certain punches. He just couldn't react. And that's why he decided to, like, yo, fuck the game plan. I just gotta try to survive, and go out on my shield, And I like that. And I appreciate the fact that, I'm gonna be honest, he really wasn't scared. For someone that was getting hurt throughout the fight, it was certain points of time he still was pressing forward, just getting tagged up, but he still was pressing forward. So he had heart and he had will. He was just there. It just Bud was just a better man that night.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying, like, he never moves his head, this, that, and the third. His defense, they're saying his defense is horrible. I don't think his defense is horrible. It looked horrible, like it was horrible last night. But if you know, like Errol, he catches a lot of shots with his gloves.
Yes.
But as you mentioned, the timing was so off, he couldn't catch any of them. It was just boom, getting his head snapped back all night. You know what I'm saying? And the jab was hard. You could tell. You know what I'm saying? His nose was bleeding. I believe the eye that was really, really swollen was the one that he had the surgery on too.
Yeah.
So it's like Bud just knew, like, I'm a target that, and I'm a target. He had specific things that he was targeting. You know what I'm saying? And man, I think he made it look easier than any other fight he had. Of course, in the press conference, he said it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Just because perform on levels, it's not easy. Because obviously, for him to look as good as he did, it was a combination of him being that good and Errol just making countless mistakes that he made him pay for all of them.
Yeah.
I believe Terrence Crawford landed 50% of his punches last night, which is ridiculously accurate. You know what I'm saying? That's just not something that happens in fights of this
in general.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. It's rough, but that's why, like, Bud is the more skillful. And I'll shout out to the people that actually, like, got this right. Not the casuals or the people that say, oh, I got Bud winning because he's more skilled, right? That's obvious, right? But the people that was like, I feel like, Bud can win because of these specific things, right? Like, because of his punching power, because he's been knocking everybody out. And I feel like he's gonna stop Errol Spence, right? People that actually gave, great breakdowns that kind of alluded to this win. Shout out to y'all, because y'all got it, y'all called it right, even though he was the favorite to win, right? So we went for the underdogs, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out for us.
For sure. Trust me, once this video goes up, the trolls are coming out and they're gonna obliterate us. Not as bad as Spence got obliterated, but we're gonna get it pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? But it was just my legit opinion. I thought he was gonna win the fight. Wasn't even close. But and I was, we were on FaceTime earlier, you, Kenny, and I told you, like, I've never doubted Errol Spence before a fight ever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think I've been actively watching Errol Spence for probably like 8 years now. But I was telling you, like, when they were on stage and they were facing off the last face off, he was like, yo, you should thank me for making this fight happen. And Terrence was like, huh? He's like, you should thank me for making this fight happen. Terrence dapped him up, right? And then Terrence said, we about to make history.
I thought he said, thank you for making this fight happen. Or so he said, thank me. You should thank me.
Errol said, you should thank me for making this fight happen. And then Terrence, huh? And then he repeated it. Terrence dapped him up. Terrence said, we about to make history. And Errol said, and bank too. And I know that's a slight thing, but I gotta just keep it 100. For the first time ever, it put a little bit of doubt in my mind, like, and bank too. Like, yeah, of course, yeah, you guys gonna make money. I want you guys to make all the money in the world, but is that where your focus is at right now, or is it on this opponent against you? Because he's talking about making history. You know what I'm saying? Which means he's prepared. He's coming looking for for this fight. So that put a slight bit of doubt in my mind. I'm like, wait a minute. But of course, you can easily talk yourself out of that. I'm like, nah, he just probably just stating the obvious, but it showed last night that there was levels, and Bud Crawford was just on another level.
Yeah, he definitely number one pound for pound. I have him, as a 2-time undisputed champion. And then I wonder what's next for him. I know he probably might not look to pursue and collect the belts one by one at 154, and that depends on whether or not after the Canelo fight, Jermel's going to vacate at 154 and stay at 160, 168, right? We don't know. Or if he's going to come down and challenge Terrence Crawford. We don't know. But I suspect that Bud Crawford's probably going to look to kind of get, big paydays from here on out.
Yeah.
And that's if, he decides to rematch Errol Spence, which he alluded to rematching Errol Spence at 154, because Errol Spence said he wants to rematch at 154. Bud said, we can do it.
But also said it was hard for him to make 147 as well. So he said he empathized with Spence. Spence was like, yo, I would love to do the rematch, hopefully at 154. And Bud was like, he would be down for it because it wasn't easy for him to make the weight either.
Yeah. So we may see that, even though I don't want to see the rematch. I'm being honest. It was just so one-sided that I'm like, I'm no longer interested in that, right? I want to see, other fights and see what happens. But only time will tell. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And just before we wrap, I'm gonna say, if Mel beats Canelo, then I don't think Mel comes back down. But if he loses to Canelo, then I could see him coming back down to 54.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful. Remember what happened to Roy Jones with just jumping around weights and coming back. Yeah, gotta be careful with that stuff.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely, you've seen it with Cal Brook, jumped up, Golovkin jumped down on 40. It just hinders the body. The body has to get acclimated to certain weight classes, in performance.
Yeah. Well, tell us what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. What did you see? Did you expect it to be this one-sided? Were you shocked like we were shocked? Whatever you got to say, drop it in the comments. 2 cents short of $1, and we're out.